Welcome back everyone to Bendy Lone Wolf. This is part 2 of our trophy guide and walkthrough. We're going to walk over here and check out our mystery boxes. We have completed the safe house scraps, so we have no need to go into the studio again. We're going to head straight into the next level, which is the Artist's Rest. And we're basically going to do the same thing that we did before. It's just the layout is going to be completely different. So you're still looking for the same supplies, toilet plungers and books and wrenches and bones and things like that. You'll see here you get the spin wheel again, but this time it costs 5 slugs to spend. And I find that more often than not, you end up getting bad luck. So I'm not going to mess with that. Pretty much immediately, as you can see, the ink demon has spawned. Just find you a hiding place, and there's always one in the main hub area where the lift drops you off. But you may want to make mental notes as you're walking around. Make mental notes of where the safe boxes are. You can see here that one of these is closed off, so that is good. That means we only have 3 areas to explore, so it'll be a little less hard to get lost. This happens a lot in Artist's Rest, where those ink enemies will run at you, jump, and hit you. Using your block is very effective when they do that. I did not block, but I get really good at it later because you pretty much have to block when you're playing on hard. So here, this panel on the wall, you can see we just found a fuse. That puzzle is pretty simple. You just wait for the light to light up in the middle left column. So there's a black and yellowish tape around that particular hole. You want to wait for the light to appear there and then push X so that you can see here the left middle. When the light lights up there, press X and you have a chance of collecting a fuse. You can get anywhere from 1 to 3 fuses per level. I find on average it's usually 2. In the lockers you can still find the padlock keys, and I think we still need, well, now we only need 1, but when we entered the level we still needed 2. And if you pay attention to the type of room it is, those panels are almost always in the same place. We just collected another fuse. So in these rooms where it's just a square going around the room and you can't enter the middle, across from where the tall locker is, there will always be a panel there for you to open. Also, I'm speeding up a lot of the time when I have to wait for the ink demon to go away because it just saves time for you. There's always a safe box in there as well. Don't forget to keep your stamina up. And don't forget to open up everything. So basically, we're collecting these fuses for a minigame that is inside of the safe house. And we'll get to that at the end of the video on what to do, but there are no enemies involved or anything. It's just a little minigame, and once you complete the task, then you get your question box. But in order to get a trophy, you have to do more than just get the question box. But we'll go over that at the end of the video. So make your way all through here, and if you played Dark Revival, then this area should look very familiar to you. It's pretty much based off of the Artist's Rest from Dark Revival. There's a lot of lights everywhere. You could actually, this is the easiest area to turn off your headlamp because the area is so well lit, you really don't need it. I do suggest not doing what I just did. Keeping your camera facing in only one direction and not turning or rotating the camera, because it makes it a lot easier to know where you've come from. Now, for me, I turned it twice, so it puts me facing the lift area. But typically, I only like to do that when I'm collecting my very last item and running for the lift. Of course, there are healing stations scattered about. That's another thing that you may want to make mental notes of where they are. Of course, this is our first time in this area, and most likely you will have to go through it at least one more time after collecting the elevator button, because typically you don't get 3 fuses in one playthrough. You can. I think it's happened to me once, but it's not common. So don't bank on that. And sometimes you'll go through levels, especially when you play on hard, you'll sometimes go through levels and you won't find anything at all, which is extremely frustrating. Don't forget to hit the crates, because there are weapon components inside of the lit up crates, and that's how you get new weapons. And you'll see pretty much all the rooms kind of follow the same pattern. Sometimes there's a fuse panel over there if the door is closed. There'll sometimes be a fuse panel there, but most of the time from where we entered, it's on the right wall. That is a trap as well. So if you don't get out of the way fast enough, there will be hot ink dropped on top of you, and it does cause damage. So be careful. Also, that particular trap doesn't seem to harm the ink enemies. So do keep that in mind. It's not like the other traps that actually cause damage. And once you start playing on hard, you will notice that enemies that used to instantly just die when they got hit by a trap, they won't. It'll take off 3/4 of their health, but you will have to go and hit them one more time to make sure that they're fully gone. Also, if you go inside of a safe box while an enemy is chasing you, a regular enemy, not the ink demon, that enemy will either run away or sink into the ground and won't reappear usually. So that is something to think about. If you don't want to fight, you can just run and hide in a safe box. So even though I'm fairly certain that I'm not going to collect any more fuses, I am still going to keep opening up every panel. I want to make sure that I collect everything I possibly can. You can see that I'm doing my block and hit move there, and it works a lot better than trying to run away or trying to walk away. Just hit them and then immediately hit block and wait for them to hit you. And as soon as they finish their swing, hit them and block again. Most of these rooms are going to be the same throughout. Like, there's not really much that changes. As you go into the same area multiple times, you may see that you may enter from a different area, or the room itself is turned on its side, so it may look unfamiliar for a second, but once you get your bearings, you'll see that it's the same layout. It's just in a different from a different perspective. So it looks like we are pretty much done with this level. All we have to do is go and collect our final item and make a run for the lift, and of course avoid the ink demon. I get a lot smarter about all of this later on with as far as keeping my headlamp turned off pretty much all of the time and having better block and hit motion. And again, I have dropped the gent stick, which once you drop it, you can pick it back up again. I dropped it to indicate the area where the final item is located. Grab it and run for the lift. And you can see why this makes it easy, because later on these levels are going to get longer and more complicated. And the last thing you want is to find your final item 18 rooms away from the lift. So drop off your supplies and make your save. We're going to get back to the lift and go into the artist's rest again. This will be day number 5. And we should find the elevator button. Oh, this is day number 6. I'm sorry. We should find the elevator button as soon as you start the second day of artist's rest, which for us was day number 6. I'm going to leave that for later. I dropped my gent stick to indicate that there are items that are close to the lift there. On these tables, you can sometimes find slugs. And again, I know I said it before, but we are going to need a lot of slugs later on for the arcade. So be sure to pick up as many as you can and make sure to open up every single locker, because slugs are very often inside of the lockers. Now in this particular room, it's always the same. There are always 2 lockers on this side and 1 panel. So even if you're facing the other direction, you'll always know that where the balcony is at the top, up against the wall, there's always a panel. The other room, the other side of the room, it changes a little bit. There's often traps in there. So here, this is a copy of the room we were just in. See over here, there's a crate. Sometimes there's a crate here. Sometimes there's a panel on the wall. This part of the room changes pretty often, but the other side is always the same. There's always 1 locker on the hallway part, 1 locker on the interior, and a panel on the opposite wall from the locker. I was trying too hard there. There we go. We found the final padlock key, which is great. We're done with that. And it is always nice when you can find items between levels. Like the safe house scraps are level specific, so you can only find them in the studio. But the padlock keys you can find in both levels, and you should have found all of them by the time you get to the third floor. We still have, I think, 4 more fuses to find. So keep opening up those panels. It looks like everything that we need to find is going to be all in one area. So we've explored everything else. They were very short areas. You can leave 1 or both items in the front if you have any. The ones that are closest to the lift need to be left there so you have easy access. We did find a weapon component, which is great. I wish you as much luck as I've had in finding weapon components. The good thing about rooms like this, where there is a large area in the middle, is that you can often hide behind it and just angle your camera in a way where you can see where the ink demon is going and just go around the opposite way. Also, I do want to point out, in this video we are going to find the bowling ball. That is another random item. I found it here in the artist's rest, and I think it's going to be in the next day, day 7. is where I'll find it, but on my hard playthrough, I did not find it at all. So keep that in mind. You may have to go through levels several times, and as far as I can tell, I think the bowling ball is only found in Artist's Rest, but I could be wrong about that. And you're going to find it in one of the tall blockers. I'm trying to stay far away from the ink demon, and hopefully this thing in the middle will block his view of me. It looks like it did. But in rooms like that where there's the spinning machine and kind of like a well, I guess it's an ink well, there's always a safe room in there behind a short wall. Also, it is a good idea before you stop to open up a locker or get some bacon soup, you should wait a beat. You know, wait just a second or two to make sure that there are no ink enemies that are going to appear, because they do like to do that. They like to wait until you walk up to a locker and start opening it, and they'll jump out and appear, and before you can back out, they're hitting you. So as you can see, this area is closed. We may be able to exit through the side. I don't know yet. It doesn't appear that we can. Also, in these rooms where there's an empty space in the middle and you can only follow along the sides, what I'll typically do is I'll pick a direction, either left or right, and I will, let's say I'm going left. I'll go to the left side of the room, and if there is an exit to the left, I will continue going left so that I always know I've explored everything to the left. Now I can, when I'm headed back, once I get to a stopping point where I can't go any further, I will go back and I will explore everything on the right. And if there is an opening above, then, you know, if I'm going to the left and there's an opening above, I will go up next. So it just, if you're keeping your camera angle the same, if you're not spinning your camera around, it's very, very easy and simple to do. But you can see I'm spinning my camera a lot. I'm just giving you advice on how I find to be the most efficient way to go through these levels without getting lost and without leaving anything behind, because there's nothing worse than going through a level thinking that you're completely finished, and then you realize I'm missing 2 items. I think I've gone through everything. I left 1 item close to the lift, but I'm missing something else. And it turns out that you just missed 1 room way in the back because you didn't thoroughly explore it enough, because you moved your camera around and didn't have a system to exploring. I hope that that is clear enough for everyone to understand. It makes it harder to see when I'm constantly moving my camera. But if you point your camera facing from the lift, if you point your camera facing the direction that you want to go and you leave it there, it makes it so much easier to just kind of work left to right. Explore everything to the left, then go up if you have other areas where you can go up, and then explore everything to the right. I promise it makes things a whole lot easier. Sometimes the ink demon will also be close to the lift when you're running to it, so you may have to kite him around a little bit to get to the elevator. Be sure to drop off your safe house supplies and make a save. So the next thing that we are going to do is go and open up the box that's locked with padlock keys. You do want to do this as early as possible because there's a trophy related to it.
Boris opened the crate. was a bad decision. The Butcher Gang was unleashed.
As you can see, we have released the Butcher Gang. And when you play through on hard, if you do a second playthrough, you can wait and do that at the very end. You don't have to do it early. But for this playthrough, and just for opening the box, you get your question box. But for this playthrough, you have to take out at least 25 Butcher Gang. So you want to let them out as early as possible so they have more of a chance of appearing in the levels, and you actually take out all 25. So we went into the lift, and this is where I'm going to start splitting up. So you can see a cut here. I'm just going to show you where I gathered relevant items rather than going through the entire level, because we've already been through it twice. We already have our button. So this is just showing you that I did complete the level and I did find everything necessary. So right there we collected a fuse. Over here, this will be another fuse collection, which when we passed by, we saw we had 4 out of 6. So this gives us the 6 out of 6. And here it's me picking up my final item and running over to the lift. I did find the bowling ball here, but I don't think that I clipped it in because it's not required for any trophy or anything. When we go into the arcade, you'll see it. So once you drop off your supplies, you can come over here to where you have 6 out of 6 fuses, and you can begin to play this mini game. So basically what this is, you have to slide the little moving slider, and you have to bounce the ink blob and make it hit each of the glowing nodes. Now this isn't super hard, but the further to the left or right edge of your sliding platform that the ink blob hits, the more harsh the angle becomes on the ink blob. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll bounce off of a few different nodes in just one bounce off of your sliding thing, and it may take a couple of times for you to kind of get used to it, because the game ends if you don't catch the blob with your sliding bar and it falls down, you have to start all over. But you can keep track of your score to the right. In order to get your question box, you have to beat the high score. So you have to get, I think it's 11 points. You might be able to match it, maybe 10, just take over the high score, but I always go to 11. But in order to get a trophy, you have to get 25 points in this game. So that's why I'm going through the entire thing, and you're watching me continue on well past 10, because we want to make sure and get that trophy. And you'll get better at it as you go. It's a pretty simple game, but it can be quite frustrating, just because you almost have to hit the ink blob perfectly. And if you're moving the slider in a specific direction when the ink blob hits, it also puts more force behind it, typically in the direction that you don't want it to go. See here, I feel like I've been trying to move up in score for a long time, but you'll have that happen sometimes where you just can't quite get it right. And then there's that. If you get it right in the middle, it'll just bounce up and down. It won't have any angle whatsoever. We're getting pretty close to the end here. Looks like we've got 24 points now. 25. I'm going to let it go on for as long as I can, but I'm going to speed this up for you so that you don't have to sit and watch it. You only need 25 points. But I just kept on going just to see how much I could get. And it looks like 36 is my high score. This gives you the Fuse Collector Trophy for scoring at least 25 points in Fuseball. So, with that out of the way, we have a new cassette player here that you can listen to. We have our question box. So that's 3 out of 7 that we have completed. Let's go make a save. You can check your little board here if you like. That's in the corner to see how many more you need. You can also go and change out your weapon. If you found a weapon component, the next weapon is the baseball bat, and it is a little bit better. And with that, we're going to end this video. So thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in part 3. Until then, Khajiit always has swears.